we doing? Maybe after this, ask somebody, ask that guy. Take up.
Okay. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. We are very, very proud to be here to announce that the minimum wage will be going up to $15 an hour as of June 1st. And we are very, very proud to be making that announcement because for too long the minimum wage was not rising, and it took a dedicated and determined effort to change that. And so we think that this is incredibly important for our state because 61% of the minimum wage workers are women, 49% of our minimum wage workers, and there are over 163,000 of them are people of color. And 114,000 children live in households where there is a worker making below $15 an hour. So by raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, we are uplifting women and we are uplifting families. And that's why the governor and our legislative leaders worked so hard to make this a reality, because we believe that nobody working full-time should live in poverty, and we want to build a pathway for the middle class. And so the minimum wage is just one piece. There are many other pieces that we have put together, like expanding the earned income tax credit, tax cuts that are targeted to help the people that need it the most, baby bonds, investment in housing, and debt-free community college, and much more. So we're very proud to have with us today one of the legislative architects of our minimum wage law, Senator Julie Kushner.
Thank you. It's pretty exciting to be here. I know it doesn't happen until next week, but I'm so glad that we can anticipate what it will mean to working families to have a $15 minimum wage. And I just want to go back to 2019 when I first joined the legislature, and I just joined the legislature and Governor Lamont just was elected governor. And we had worked so hard on the campaign trail promising our citizens, promising the people who live in this state that we were going to pass a $15 minimum wage, that we were going to pass paid family medical leave. And we did both of those things in that very first year of our time in the legislature and in the administration. And that was incredibly exciting. I have to admit that I thought we were going to do that every day, every year. I realize now that it's a little harder than that. And a lot of people worked to make that happen. Certainly my co-chair, Robin Porter, from the Labor Committee at that time was just an incredible champion in the House, and we were so successful. What I want to talk about is what this means for working families. Because as you heard from our Lieutenant Governor, who was a big part of that as well, we know for working families that it's made a huge difference. Nobody anticipated in 2019 how hard life would become in a pandemic. But I'm very confident that one of the things that helped families get through was having an increase in the minimum wage. And I also want to talk about the young people. We have some young people here in the room. And I know, because I had the experience of talking to young people who said, you know, they weren't really involved in politics. They really didn't understand it. And this happened to me once when I was walking across and interrupting a basketball game of a bunch of young people. And I interrupted them. They sat down, and I said who I was, and they seemed very unimpressed, like, so what, you're our state senator. We're not really interested in politics. And I said, so did anybody get a $1 wage increase this year? And they all were like, yeah, I did. And I said, well, that's because we did that at the legislature, and with the governor, we passed an increase to go to $15, and you didn't just get $1 this year, you're gonna get $1 next year too. And it changed the whole conversation, and I think it really does move people to understand the importance of who you elect and who runs our government, and how we have people that are dedicated to helping working families. And so I know we have a lot more to do. We are not done. I know that people need more than $15 an hour. I know that is not a living wage, but we've made so much progress from the 10-10 that we were stuck at for so many years. So I just want to congratulate everyone who's here today, because I know I see all of you out there, the Working Families Party, the labor movement, the governor, the lieutenant governor, all the champions that made this possible in 2019. Realizing it today is pretty remarkable. And so I applaud all of us, and really thank you for being here, because we're going to make Connecticut better for working families, and that makes it better for the whole state. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I do want to acknowledge that we have our AFL-CIO president, Ed Hawthorne. Ed, where are you? Wave. All right, there you go. Front and center, as you should be. And Working Families Party State Director, Sarah Ganong. Sarah, thank you so much for all of your great work. Another legislative powerhouse, and also such a fierce advocate for the increase of the minimum wage, who stood on the floor of the House, I think, close to 24 hours. The amazing Representative Robin Porter.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. I mean, when you look up here, what you see, I always say that teamwork makes the dream work. This is a dream team, right? We were able to get this done in 2019, yes, but we were actually working to birth this promise for many years, right? And we finally hit the nail on 2019 under the leadership of Governor Lamont and Lieutenant Governor Susan Bicewicz. So if you would please just take a moment to give them an applause, because without them, this would not have happened. Yes, and it was a long, laborious, situation that went on, but we finally got there. And as the good senator said, $15 is not enough. It is not a livable wage, but it is certainly better than $7.25, which is the federal minimum wage, and it is certainly better than the 10-10 that we had prior to 2019. And what I will say is, as we move forward and making sure that we're doing things to help people along, especially post-pandemic, I want us to think about what it is that's needed, because this is not a livable wage, right? Most people are working 2 and 3 jobs at minimum wage. So we still need to solve that issue, and the housing affordability issue in Connecticut. Minimum wage workers are still struggling to find affordable housing. And there's a lot going on in housing right now, and I'm glad to say that this legislature is looking at addressing those issues so that we can smooth out the road for the folks. And I do want to give a special shout out to 1199. They're in the building. They're doing what they need to do in order to get what needs to be done for them. And I want you to know that we are 100, nope, I take that back, I'm gonna add a 0. We are 1,000% behind you all. But yes, we've done a great job. We got more work to do. People are living better, but there's much more that can be acquired. And I want us to have those conversations with you all. And I want you to encourage your people, workers, families, mothers, everyone, every citizen of this state to occupy the building and to tell us what it is you need in order to bridge this gap, because that is what we're here for. This is the people's building, and we are about the people's business. So thank you all for being here today. Spread the word that on June 1st, minimum wage is going to $15 an hour. And that matters because our working families matter. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Representative Porter. And now the fearless leader of Connecticut, Ned Lamont.
Hey, everybody. So as Julie said, when Susan, Julie, and I were running for office about 5 years ago, we wanted to make a $15 minimum wage a hallmark of what we wanted to do. I wanted Connecticut to be one of the first states in the country to get to a $15 minimum wage, and we are. And I want to be the first state in the country to tie the minimum wage to cost of living. So if we have a high inflation rate, we don't have to go through a battle every 3 years, whatever it is. We make sure that people are taken care of. I'll tell you, when I came into office, come out of the business world, and the business guys all came to me. They go, what the heck, Gov? I mean, you know that a $15 minimum wage is going to make us non-competitive, and we're going to go out of business, and anti-business, reputation. And I said, look, I come out of the business world. If the way you're making money is on the backs of people, not paying them a decent minimum wage, you're a lousy business person. I think you're dead wrong on that. And we've proven they were right on that, too. I mean, we've had more economic growth and job creation since the $15 minimum wage than we've had in many a year. So I don't fall for that line, and it's thanks to folks like you. And I want to say something else, because I see $11.99 here. I was thinking about this, and Robin was on the phone every 10 minutes with me, and I heard it loud and clear. And a guy named Rick Melita gave me a call. You know, Rick's an old friend of mine from $11.99, and Rick said, come over. I want you to meet some folks. I want you to hear firsthand what a $15 minimum wage, in that case, it was just going up $1 a year, would mean. And we got together, about 15 of us around a table, mainly all women, frankly, all moms, single moms in many cases, all women of color. And I just said, what would it mean, an extra $25 a week? And the one that struck me the most was, like, I'm working 2 jobs just to get by, and that extra 25 bucks may mean that I get in maybe extra hour or 2 in the morning so I can see my son or daughter off when they go to school, or I be there in the evening and I can meet them at the school bus. And that meant an awful lot to me in a human sense, what this $15 minimum wage is. And then beyond that, what we're doing with our chairman of the Labor Committee and beyond is what it means in terms of earned income tax credit. I hope you know what that is. Thanks to Martin Looney in particular, we have the biggest increase in the earned income tax credit. That should mean an additional thousands of dollars to people every year who are earning the minimum wage and beyond. The earned income tax credit is good for people up to families earning up to about $56,000. I was, particularly struck by people saying I had to put off health care because I'm not earning enough to take care of my kids and my family. And that's when, Susan and I wanted to re-up on covered Connecticut, make sure we have free health insurance for folks earning up to about $40,000, and then greatly discounted health insurance beyond that. And that's for everybody in minimum wage, we can get you free health insurance. And I want you to know that's in place, in part thanks to Joe Biden as well. Robin said, how about housing? Well, we're doing not only just in terms of rent relief, but we're going to be building more affordable housing, more workforce housing, if you guys step up with me on this vote, than ever before, making sure that people can afford to live in the communities where they were born and raised, and maybe their grandparents can get to a smaller apartment, or their kids can start off in those communities. That's what it means. You don't have equal rights unless you have a shelter over your head, unless you have health insurance, unless you have a living minimum wage. We got a long way to go, but we're making progress every day, and I couldn't do it without the folks behind me. Thanks, everybody.
So our final speaker will be Representative Darrell Wilson. He is the Vice Chair of our Labor Committee.
Good morning, and thank you guys again for being here. One of the things that I will say, myself and my colleague, Representative Manny Sanchez, who serves as the co-chair of the Labor Committee, would say is that this is an important increase, as we know much of the money that comes into our neighborhoods and our people's pockets come back to build economically strong neighborhoods and communities. And one of our jobs here is to make sure that not only are we building families, but we are building the communities that these families are in. And so it is important that we recognize that each and every dollar that comes back in to build a family also builds a neighborhood, and that we as Connecticut are stepping up to do something and continue to step up to do things that even the federal level has not done, and that's important. We're building our families here in Connecticut. We want to continue to build strong families, and that's what me and my colleagues will continue to stand strong and do. So thank you guys again for this morning.
So we are very delighted to have so many of our media partners here, so we will take on-topic questions from our media partners.
Do we know how many are making the minimum wage? Do we have a figure on that?
Yes, it's 163,000 people. Yes, and that's from our Department of Labor. It's 163,151.
But just to clarify on that too, that over the course of the last 4.5 years, actually many more have been impacted by the increases. I know when we were passing this in 2019, it was projected that over 300,000 workers in Connecticut would benefit from these increases, even though as each year there was a ripple thing. Yes.
Yep. Yep.
I have seen around 60 cents, and that is the employee cost index, and it's an index that's used by the federal government. That's why we chose to use it when we passed it in 2019. They use it for all the federal employees.
All right, anyone else? Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it.
Got it done. It's a battle. We got it done. First with the COLA, which I think is, especially when you see 2% inflation, they're not going to look at that.